hoping you had a wonderful day today. Hope TV Newswatch is ready to give you the news that made headlines tonight. My name is Melissa Oduor. Boniface Muredi is helping us with the sign language tonight. Newswatch begins now. Azimio Mourns leaders led by Raila Odinga have today held prayers and lit candles at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Foundation in Nairobi in honor of the memory of those who lost their lives during the anti-government protests. The leaders who spoke after visiting victims of alleged police brutality during the opposition protests and are nursing gunshot wounds at Mama Lucy Hospital and at the Kenyatta National Hospital in Nairobi sent their condolences to families and friends who lost their loved ones and condemned the police for using force on innocent Kenyans whom they said were only exercising their rights. And as Alice Diana reports, Azimio has announced that they will hold interdenominational prayers on Friday here in Nairobi and across the country to pray for the injured, the dead, the government and police, where they will also announce their way forward on the anti-tax protests.
As other Azimio leaders led their supporters in several counties to light candles and conduct prayers for Kenyans who died during the anti-government protests, here in Nairobi, Azimio Principal Raila Odinga led other principals and leaders in conducting a similar event at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Foundation.
To lay a flower in memory of our dear departed.
The event kicked off in the afternoon after the leaders had visited several patients who are nursing gunshot wounds and other injuries in Mama Lucy Hospital and Kenyatta National Hospital. It started with the singing of the national anthem, followed by prayers for the victims of alleged police brutality. After the prayers, a short video clip of protesters who were allegedly injured by police was played with the names of those injured and those who lost their lives displayed on large screens. Thereafter, the Azimio leaders took to the podium where they criticized the police for using force on innocent Kenyans and blamed police for the reported deaths, which they said had claimed over 30 lives.
It is clear Kenyans have gone through horror and terror these past days. People whose only crime was to protest against policies that they feel worked against them have been shot, clobbered to a pulp, or maimed.
We are mourning over 30 shot by the police, gunshot wounds, each one of them. But they are saying there's one officer who lost their life against this over 30. We want to say poleni kwa wale wote wamepoteza wapendo wenu.
The leaders also castigated the government for applauding police officers on how they handled the protesters.
Imekuwa binadamu kuuliwa ni kitu tu cha seconds tu. Tena mtu anatembea bila kujali na kufungua tu bunduki ambazo sisi wenyewe wa Kenya tumetoa ushuru kila kukicha ili zitusaidie na magaidi wale ambao wanatuvamia kama taifa la Kenya.
Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who read the Azimio statement, noted that they will pursue justice nationally and internationally, warning those responsible that they will be held accountable.
We pray that the fair and just God will enable Professor Kindiki to live long enough to be able to witness justice being done to these victims of state-sponsored brutality. In the fullness of time, justice will have to be done. Justice is the only way to ensure peace and stability in our country.
Because we believe strongly that their deaths shall not be in vain. That however long it takes, those who are responsible for these unfortunate and premature deaths shall be held to account.
Azimio further announced that they will hold interdenominational prayers on Friday here in Nairobi and across the country, and also announced their next move on demos on that day as they called on Kenyans not to surrender.
We will hold interdenominational prayers on Friday, that's a day after tomorrow, here in Nairobi, and they should also be replicated in the counties across the country.
The event ended with the leaders led by Raila Odinga laying flowers and lighting candles at the Jaramogi Oginga Foundation in honor of the departed victims. Some women leaders were overwhelmed during the vigil. It was a somber mood right here at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Foundation when Azimio leaders laid flowers and lit candles in honor of the memories of the lives lost during the anti-government protests, with the rallying call being justice for the victims. Alice Diana for Hope TV Newswatch in Nairobi County.
Thank you, Alice, for that quite emotional story. Now, supporters of the opposition today turned up in various parts of the country to observe a candlelight and flowers vigil in remembrance of Kenyans killed during protests held in the last few weeks. A state of calm was witnessed in Nairobi as businesses went on as usual, even in areas considered as Azimio Mourns coalition strongholds. The opposition leaders had called for the commemoration of lives lost during the demonstrations, and as Tess Njenga now reports, most Nairobi residents have called upon the government and the opposition to hold talks so as to end the stalemate and address issues affecting the country.
A random check around Nairobi, more so in Kibra and Kawangware areas, where violent confrontations were witnessed during last week's protests, showed most business premises open and business going on as usual, especially for the border riders and retail shops. Police officers were seen conducting patrols in various parts of Nairobi, which have been notorious for being chaotic during demonstrations. The officers were armed with firearms and tear gas, seemingly ready to disperse any chaos that might break out. However, a state of calm was witnessed even in areas considered as Azimio la Umoja coalition strongholds. The coalition earlier this week cancelled Wednesday's demos and instead called for the commemoration of lives lost during demonstrations today through candle lighting and laying of flowers. Although Hope TV did not spot any such activities on the Nairobi city streets, some of the residents said they would observe the flower and candles vigil later on.
Kuna sehemu inafanyika, kuna sehemu tofauti zinafanyika, kama kuna sehemu inaitwa Muslim, kuna sehemu inaitwa 56, kuna watu wanafanya hiyo ni ceremony.
Huwa tuliweka mishumaa, tulienda kanisani, kama mimi ni Mkatoliki. Tulienda tukaombea wale watu wote, tukaambia kweli ni vile tu. Sababu unajua si kupenda kwa mwananchi wa chini kwenda kuandamana. It's not a right kwa mwananchi akupatie kazi alafu waenda andamane. Can you ask yourself, my friend? I'm asking the government. How comes, imagine mtu amekupatia kazi, umekuja umemuomba amekupatia kazi, alafu akuja andamane, akuja uliwe. Sasa what next?
Wale wenye waliumia ajaribu vile wataendaje, kama ule mtu wa Western Nyanza, kitu wangaya muhimu ni gari ya kubeba ile mwili. Kitu ingine ile gari ile malipo ya pale mochari italipwaje? Labda alitibiwa ndio akuja kufa, ile malipo ya daktari itapatikana aje?
Traders from Kibra and Kawangware, on their part, decried the adverse effects of the protests on their businesses, adding that the cost of living is too high. They are now asking the government to consider easing the plight of Kenyans.
Maandamano tumekuwa na shida sana watu wa matatu, kwa sababu hata tukiona maabiria wetu pia wamekuwa hawana ile biashara zao zimekuwa chini, na ndio tunategemea kwa wabeba. Sasa tukikuja hivi unapata hata matatu ya baby na mafuta pia imepanda sana. Ambia tafadhalini, kama serikali yetu ilichagua, sisi watu wa matatu tunaumia sana kwa mafuta hii ya gari, maana sisi tunategemea hiyo mafuta hiyo.
Kwanza kuna mtu anafungua kazi kama biashara yake, so hapa maandamano kama iko lazima watu wanakuwa wamefunga kazi zao.
Meanwhile, a cross-section of Kenyans have expressed concern over the state of the nation, calling upon the Kenya Kwanza government and the Azimio la Umoja to hold talks and bring to an end the protests which have brought about deaths and destruction of property in the country.
Opposition na government wakae pamoja, wasikizane, waongee jambo la muhimu kwa mwananchi wa chini, sababu wakati hata government ilikuja kuomba kura, ilikuja na kitu ya kuita ya kwamba yanasema mama mboga, mtu wa mkokoteni na bodaboda.
Na tuwe na amani vile tulivyo. Otherwise wengine wamehusunika, wengine tumehusunika kwa ile jambo lilifanyika ya watu kufa walela. Si vizuri sana.
A spot check carried out by Hope TV in some of the areas considered to be Azimio strongholds showed that it is business as usual, with some residents calling upon the government and the opposition to hold talks so as to end maandamano. Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Tess Njenga.
Now, normalcy dawned the city's capital city, Nairobi, which has been the most affected by the opposition anti-government protests. A spot check done by Hope TV today at the city's central business district witnessed the resumption of businesses compared to last week on Wednesday, where little or no activity took place due to the demonstrations. And as Kennedy Kimani now reports, Kenyans are hoping that the gesture by President William Ruto to extend an olive branch to the opposition leader Raila Odinga will materialize so as to bring about political and economic stability in the country.
This was Nairobi Central Business District today, a beehive of activities. Unlike last week on Wednesday, when the CBD was a ghost town, today Kenyans went about their businesses without being interrupted with the opposition's anti-government protests.
The joint bipartisan talk.
This is after Azimio postponed this week's demos to hold a vigil, prayers and candle lighting for the victims of police brutality.
In fact, leo ilikuwa kuwa na maandamano, lakini kuja kuwa na maandamano usikii nimebambika aje, because yenyewe ndio hata kama maisha iko juu hatufai kuwa na protest kila wakati.
Mimi ni mfanyakazi hapa tao na uzanga mayai hapa tu hii area. Na manze cost imekuwa mbaya sana, ni hiyo sasa. Unajua sasa hata ukiambia msee smokini 40 ama chuani, hiyo story inakuwa ni kama msee trust, yani msee anashanga so busy go down.
Biashara leo imekuwa tu hapo tu. Unapata tunashukuru.
On Tuesday evening via a tweet,
sababu tunawapenda,
President William Ruto extended an olive branch to the opposition leader Raila Odinga, availing to meet him one-on-one at any time and at his convenience. Kenyans have welcomed this move, hoping that it will solve the stalemate.
Nimesikia vizuri sana nikisikia Prezo anataka kubonga na Raila bana Rao. Wakae chini waongee hizi stories ziishe bana. Si tuendelee na job.
Kwetu bado hatusikii sawa kwa sababu kwao wanaongeleleanga kuhusu powers. Sisi tunaangalia kuhusu life.
I think the approach, okay, it's good to approach, but the approach was not good. You cannot just call Baba on a tweet like, hey, we kuja tubonge, you see? At least they could have used other channels, then they announce it maybe baadaye like we are going to meet.
People can't afford to go to maandamano and then they eat. They are going to starve. That's why you see like today, ilikuwa iwe ni siku ya maandamano, lakini Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga aliweza kuya call off. Na watu wamefurika mjini kabisa kufanya biashara zao.
Biashara hajakuwa mbaya sana juu watu wameingia town, wenye tuko na maduka tumeuza kidogo.
Kazi imekuwa tu down kiasi. Siko compared na jana imekuwa, yani wasee wako tao lakini do hatuoni bado.
This as Azimio have announced that they will hold interdenominational prayers on Friday in Nairobi and across the country, where they will also announce their next move in regards to the anti-government protests.
With normalcy beckoning, Kenyans are hoping that the gesture by President William Ruto to reach out to the opposition leader Raila Odinga will bear fruit so as to solve the political stalemates in the country. Kennedy Kimani, Hope TV Newswatch, Nairobi.
Kennedy for that story. Now, to other news now, President William Ruto has held talks with his Tanzanian counterpart Samia Suluhu Hassan on the sidelines of the Africa Heads of State Human Capital Summit taking place in Dar es Salaam. President Suluhu acknowledged the long-standing good relation between the two nations. The summit is themed Accelerating Africa's Economic Growth, Boosting Youth Productivity by Improving Learning and Skills. Now, the forum agreed to reactivate the timely investments in education and health to boost productivity, spur employment, and unlock Africa's huge untapped economic potential. Addressing the summit, President Ruto said Kenya is working with other African countries and partners to design a sound plan that will consciously nurture and invest in competitive human capital that yields highest returns. He said such a shift will sustainably accelerate the continent's economic growth.
Today in Kenya, we have made a deliberate policy intervention to say there will be a housing tax of 1.5% out of my salary because we have 6 million people living in informal settlements in Kenya. Informal settlements is a problem. It is a challenge. But we can turn the informal settlements into an opportunity by creating the opportunity for housing, which opportunity will create jobs for our young people. So we sort out two problems. We create jobs using the housing plan, and we give houses to those living in informal settlements. I would not entirely agree that we should keep everybody at home. I mean, we live in a global village. I mean, if there are opportunities in America and we have young people who can explore those opportunities, why not? Or in Europe, or in other places. That's fine with me. But they must not run away because we have failed to provide opportunity at home.
And First Lady Mama Rachel Ruto has held a consultative meeting with 36 pioneer Kenyan musicians at State House to understand the issues plaguing the sector and find ways to help establish the music industry as a stable economic pillar. During the meeting, Mama Rachel Ruto outlined plans to organize 4 national music conferences and conduct 47 county music talent forums over the next 4 years through the Talent Expression Directorate of Mama Doing Good. She congratulated the Music Copyright Society of Kenya, which was represented at the meeting by its CEO, Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, for the steps taken to make the music industry a significant contributor to the Kenyan economy. This as the MCSK is in the final stages of negotiating an increase in the commission earned by content developers from YouTube from 1.7% to 16.5%. In addition, implementing the blank tape levy by the Kenya Copyright Board is estimated to generate over 6 billion shillings annually.
Through the Talent Expression Program, we aim to promote talent and build artistic capacity through music experiences and talent shows. We have plans to organize 4 national music conferences and conduct 47 music talent forums, 1 in every county over the next 4 years, God willing. On 6th August 2023, we will have our 2nd county music forum in Narok, and you're welcome to join us. I congratulate the steps made by the Music Copyright Society of Kenya, specifically to address the needs of music legends through the MCSK Foundation that is to be set aside for welfare. We look forward to enriching the music ecosystem with the private sector and government stakeholders.
For a long time, music has not been taken as business. And you, who are so talented and amazing ministers of the gospel, talented musicians, have not been able to gain because we used your talent and we never compensated you for it. With this government, we have new tariffs that were gazetted 2 weeks ago by the Minister for Sports and the Arts. Yesterday, as my brothers came to the office, we were signing as collective management organizations a pact or an MOU that is going to roll out something called the blank tape levy.
And former President Uhuru Kenyatta's son, John Jomo, has gotten a reprieve after a constitutional court stopped the state from revoking his gun license. Justice Jairus Nga today issued orders restraining the Firearm Licensing Board from withdrawing his gun license until a case he has filed challenging the board's decision to confiscate his firearm is heard and determined. Jomo filed an application under a certificate of urgency saying that he was not informed of the reasons for the intended revocation of his certificate despite being in possession of the license. He added that the decision to revoke his license was unconstitutional. Justice Ngar stopped the firearm licensing from revoking the former president's son gun license until Jomo's application is heard and determined, adding that he was satisfied that Jomo's application was urgent and has merit. The matter will be heard on 27th of September. Let's take our first short break right here on Hope TV. All news items are coming up shortly after these messages.
This week on Testify.
You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you. You'll be witnesses to the ends of the earth. The strength to push. All I was thinking is my life is not progressing. Life is not progressing. What do I need to do? I need money. I need money. And so because of that, I fell into temptation ya kutafuta do. I signed a record deal, and for a year in 2019, I sang secular music. I got a lot of backlash. Trended in Twitter. I was like, people even know me. You serious, you guys? Watch out.
You actually
what? You actually what?
Only on Hope TV. Look and live.
With power, you will receive power.
Thank you for consistently tuning in to watch and listen to our content both on Hope TV and Hope FM. You are the reason why we are on air. The CBS Family Service now comes to you every Sunday at 4 p.m. on Hope TV, Hope FM, and on Sit and
Spirit will
our best, see whether we can keep students in school in a small way to make sure that at least education is not curtailed and we don't go, at least our students are able at least to go to school. Hata ukiwasukuma siku moja mbili, ya tatu kubali tu mwalimu asome, then arudi tena arudi.
The only thing you can do to the underprivileged child who is not there not by design, not by choice, and for you to give them capacity to compete favorably with the children of the privileged is to give them education.
This will enhance retention of learners in school and hence also ensure completion rate is very high. We have come up with a credible list of beneficiaries.
Well, resettlers is the story of integrated, internally displaced persons from Nyandarua who settled in Kianjogu village in Salama Ward, Laikipia County. They have now given the county government, the national government, I beg your pardon, an ultimatum for 21 days to resettle them, failure to which they will march to State House. The camp hosts over 3,600 persons, with majority of them being elderly women and children, and it is made up of polythene shanties lacking basic amenities like toilets and access to clean water. The area is also heavily infested by snakes, elephants, and hyenas. In 2017, the government had issued them 50,000 shillings each and had promised to issue them with the remaining 150,000 shillings last year, a pledge that is yet to be honored. Most of the integrated IDPs in the camp are those who missed out on the land allocation, with the integrated IDPs coordinator James Maura saying they are suspecting that some powerful individuals are behind their suffering, citing a recent case where pastoralists drove their camels into the area, thus creating tension among the IDPs.
Sasa katika hizi hama mnatuona kama mama vile wamekuambia wakongwe, hata saa ngine tunatembea na magoti kwa sababu ya njaa. Hakuna usaidizi yote tumepata tangu tuingia hapa hemani. Hakuna chakula, hakuna huduma yote tunapata. Tungeomba nyinyi wadhani, tafadhali mtusaidie kwa chakula ama mtuhamishe hii mahali.
Muangalie watu wenye wote wako kwa kila mtu iko kwa hema. Hii si hema. Ni makaratasi inatengenezwa tu makaratasi. Tunanyeshewa na mvua. Tunahangaika, hatuna mablanketi, magonjwa. Sisi wazee tunatembea na magoti. Hata ndio mnaona ninajikunja hapa. Sina namna, njaa karibu iniue. Hata sijui kama leo tarara.
Kuje iondoe hawa watu kwa sababu hawa ni watoto ambao wanahitaji masomo, hakuna masomo. Kwa shule wakienda shida mtupu, hata mtoto akijiangalia hana uniform, hana nini, anakaa kama sio mtoto wa secondary. Hawa wa primary wanakaa kama sio watoto wa primary, wameanza kujidhalau hata wakiwa kwa shule. Tunaomba serikali yetu, tafadhali hawa watu waondolewe hapa, maana tunajua mashamba yako hapa na sijui haya mashamba hakuna mtu anayalima. Tunaomba kila saa, tumeingia kwa kila ofisi, tumejaribu kutuma mabarua, tumeingia kwa hata kutuma mabarua kwa Senate, tumetuma ile ingine kwa Parliament na hata kwa county government tumetuma haya mabarua, lakini tunaomba tuone majibu ya hawa mabarua na sio majibu peke yake.
A look at international news now. Aided by local residents, hundreds of Portuguese firefighters scrambled on Tuesday to put out flames sweeping across a natural park near the popular holiday destination of Carceis, with strong winds complicating efforts to tackle the blaze. The wildfire started at 5 p.m. local time in a mountainous area that is part of the Sintra Carceis Natural Park, which covers around 145 square kilometers of land and is located west of the capital, Lisbon. Another short break, but we'll be back with a story of concrete beehives from Mr. B himself. You don't want to miss that.
Arise each morning to a moment of worship. and powerful nuggets from God's Word.
If there is one big thing that is needed in our time, is the ability to hear God's voice and apply His word.
We can put our faith on Christ, just like this centurion, and believe, Lord, let your word turn this situation.
God does not definitely tell you, I am coming in 6 months. I am coming in 1 year.
On Hope Devotion every Monday to Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. only on Hope TV. Look and live.
Alhamisi saa 1 machweo kwenye runinga ya Hope TV.
Jambo ambalo lilikuwa linaonekana kawaida ni kwamba kama msichana ama fulana anataka kazi, kuna mambo ambayo itabidi afanye, aidha akubali ama asipate kazi.
Baadhi ya wazee labda ni wanywaji pombe, jambo ambalo serikali yapiga vita sana, pombe haramu hasa. Labda mkewe pia anakosa kumshughulikia, anamwambia basi kule ambako litakulewa nenda kale kule. Hapo ni dhulma ipi sasa? Ni dhulma ya mume amedhulumiwa ama ni mke amedhulumiwa?
Mama si hata anakataa kumpatia chakula, lakini anasema uwajibike. Lakini kwa sababu mzee ndiye mwenye nyumba, ndiye mwenye plot, ndiye anamiliki mali, anaambia sasa wewe kwa sababu unipati chakula uende.
Tukutane mizani.
Welcome back. Now, creating new business ideas to solve problems in the community and make profits in so doing is an innovator's driving force. This is Joseph Matheri's story as he led a team of innovators to come up with concrete beehives and solve the perennial problem of predator attacks and poor honey-making environment, hence poor profits for beekeepers. Here's the story of Mr. B's concrete beehives. They say the sweetness of the honey lies in the bee itself. Now today we're in Githunguri with Mr. B at his farm, where he's going to take us through the concrete beehive, making of beehives using concrete rather than the traditional wood. And Mr. Matheri tells us these are some of the conditions that a bee needs to ensure that the quality of the honey that is produced is the best quality. My name is Melissa Oduor, and this is Lessons from the Entrepreneur.
My name is Joseph Matheri, CEO, Mr. B. I'm a father of 4 children, a husband to 1.
Matheri introduces us to his innovation that is set to revolutionize the beekeeping agribusiness, all thanks to extensive research into bees and their culture.
Mr. B is research and development agribusiness company. We are an organization that researches, specializes on apiculture. Basically, that is a study of bees and their behavior, and coming up with solutions that are apiculture oriented. As Mr. B, we've been in operation officially since 2020, but that's when we now started making the concrete hives. But we had about 4 years prior where we were purely doing research on how to make the concrete hives, and so we involved in a lot of engineering designs before we could actually come up with designs that would work.
A concrete beehive is a rare innovation. Beehives, as we know them, come in wooden forms for the honeymakers.
Why the concrete hive? You'll be surprised to learn that we have a lot of potential in honey in this part of Africa, and a number of challenges come its way. The Kenyan statistics, for example, given by the Ministry of Agriculture, is that our demand for honey on a yearly basis is about 125 million kilos of honey every year. But all the beekeepers combined in this country produce about 25 million kilos only. So that's basically a fifth of the production of what is needed. So we asked ourselves, normally in agriculture, you'd have a lot of supply and very little demand. But this is a sector of agriculture, the apiculture, where you have so much demand and such little supply. So we asked ourselves why. As we studied, we came across challenge number one. The number one reason why beekeeping is failing in Kenya, Africa, especially in these areas of Ethiopia, Sudan, Tanzania, is because of the honey badger, which is actually a predator that is currently rated by the Guinness Book of Record as the most courageous animal in the whole world.
The honey badger, like most predators, are destructive in nature, often a huge and passionate consumer of large quantities of honey, hence rendering bee farming a loss-making venture.
When a honey badger smells honey, it would rather die but eat the honey. And so it does anything and everything to make sure it eats that honey. So what it does is that it breaks wooden hives with lots of ease because it has very strong metallic-like claws. One hive has about 8,000 bees. And even if all the bees came for the honey badger, it's immune to the bee stings. So it's a very difficult animal to deal with. Many farmers have lost their hives to the honey badger. So what has happened is that people have given up beekeeping one by one because of the honey badger. And so we had to come up with a solution. And that is what inspired us to come up with a bee hive that the honey badger is unable to break.
And with every disaster, an opportunity to create a solution emerged, making the beehive stronger and tougher to withstand the destruction of the honey badger and other predators.
This is where action is happening. When you look at this hive, has these plates, so to call them, but they are not plates. This is what we call kaluki guards. Is our technology for trapping black ants, safari ants, and white ants to ensure that they don't enter into the hive. Because if they get into the hive and disturb the bees, bees can even leave the hive. They abscond because of that disturbance of the white ants, black ants, and safari ants. This hive is solid, and part of the reason for this is that this is a honey badger free beehive because it's too heavy for the honey badger to come and interfere with this beehive. That is number one. The other thing is that this hive is lockable. Sometimes we put a chain here and lock down there just to ensure there is no interference from the locals who can be a bit malicious. And the biggest advantage we have with this hive is actually the thermodynamic advantage, because like now it's a little bit cold. In a wooden hive it tends to be also cold inside, but in this hive it is warm inside because the heat generated by the bees inside their beehive does not escape. And you'll be seeing just now what that means in terms of honey production.
And so began the journey of honey production by the bees, a warm and secure environment. During honey harvesting, a brood chamber reveals just how the bees are thriving.
So we smoke not to harm the bees, but to confuse their communication. So smoke is found to confuse the bees such that ukiitishwa kikombe unaleta kijiko, ukiitishwa maji unaleta ugali, So that makes it very hard for the bees to attack you because they are not having the normal consistent communication channel. So this is how a brood chamber looks like now. Okay, this is a one stair. It's a brood chamber where we have the queen bee here, and she's laying about 2,000 eggs on a daily basis. So when you are coming to inspect, we inspect the brood just to find out about the health of the bees, but not to harvest honey. We don't harvest honey from the brood chamber, no. We basically just want to find out how healthy the colony is. If you look at this, you see some whitish substance. Okay, if you zoom in, and those are the eggs the queen is laying. And after 21 days, 24 days, they become bees. Okay? And so we open here to see how well is the queen doing in terms of laying the eggs, because that tells us about the future of this family. So when she lays these eggs, as you can see those white substances, we have a bit of larvae there for the bees. In some few days, they're gonna be full Bees. We had harvested honey from this hive 2 weeks ago only. But because of being concrete, the bees are extremely comfortable. They make honey much faster than usual hive. So we harvested everything. 2 weeks down the line, they have made more honey. Now, this is honey. What you can see here is honey, but this is also honey. But this honey is capped. That's why it has a whitish substance. Now that means this part of the honey is mature. We'll have to wait until the bees cap all this frame with the honey. And that is the time it will be right for us to come and harvest.
Madheri takes us down memory lane to the journey that began the concrete beehives innovation until the winning beehives was achieved.
From January up to October 2020, we made hives every day and they broke every day. And the reason was, we were doing something which nobody had done before. So we didn't have a reference point. And at our workshop, there is what we call our, my bishop calls it the humility corner, because we have a pile, we have a heap of broken hives. So every day we had a formula of not like this, not like this, not like this. Another page. We have a black book actually with so many failed formulas until finally we got the formula. And I'll be very, very honest with you. We actually had to call our bishop for prayers. And after prayers, 2 days actually after that, praying and anointing our workshop with oil, we found a formula that has not failed up to date. The beautiful thing with concrete is that it lasts for a lifetime. So say 70, 80, 90, possibly even 100 years. So we are happy to provide to the beekeepers a hive that lasts a lifetime for the first time. And that means that any of our customers who has purchased our beehives, those hives will be utilized not only by themselves, but by their children and their children's children.
And while the innovation begins to gain traction in the beekeeping industry in Kenya, Madheri says much time would have been saved if he listened more to the customers, the beekeepers.
If I was to do things differently, start off again, all over again, and Mr. B, one of the things I would really do is to listen to the beekeepers on the ground. What are their problems? What are their challenges? Because I know we were initially focused on the innovation. We were so proud we were making the first ever concrete beehive, that was so exciting. But as much as that was solving so many problems, there is one main problem that we didn't know what to do about it until we are like 1 year in the business. And that is, people would have beehives, they're excited about them, but they didn't know what to do about them. Okay, so they would stay for long periods without bees. Bees would come and they don't exactly know what to do. And then whenever we would send our people, there would be issues of incurring charges and stuff like that. But as I listened to a number of beekeepers, I realized what they really needed was somebody who would sort out their technical challenges with the beekeeping. And that's why we came up with this business model, which is an end-to-end business model, where we not only leave you with the hives, but for the next 3 years, we manage them with you and for you. So that is something we missed from the beginning because of excitement of coming up with the first ever concrete hive. But now we are very keen on the ground and it has worked for us. We are now on our 5th different version of a concrete beehive. So as much as in 2020 we made one, we have made version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, we are now version 5. And each version is an improvement of the other because of listening, because of being on the ground and being solutions oriented.
For this business model and excitement aside, Madheri says constant improvement and execution is key.
There's a lot of potential in this country, a lot of it. And we need to find a way of tapping that potential and pushing it forward to execution, okay? And so I would encourage many people to not only do copy pasting, you see someone with soda baridi, you do soda baridi as well, to do something different. Ask yourself, what is the pain in the people that I'm trying to address their problem? And think like you can fly, Think like you can fly and come up with those solutions, share them with friends, and you'll be surprised you come up with an innovation and a solution that will help many and that will also be useful to you.
Innovators list 7 challenges that stop their innovations from progressing. Key among them are impatience, as some innovators prefer fast returns from their products, inadequate benchmarking, and lack of an innovation ecosystem. Experts, however, advise that the best way of solving problems always starts with being aware that they actually exist in the first place. After a long day at the farm now, we are so glad that the concrete beehives are actually very beneficial to the bees and the honey that is coming out. Wow, it's working. Wow. It's an innovation that is coming on very well. So thank you for a great day at Mr. B's farm, Mr. Joseph Maderi himself sharing the insights on how a concrete beehive is beneficial to the bees and in bee and honey making. My name is Melissa Oduor, and this is Lessons from the Entrepreneur.
This week on Testify.
You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you. Yeah. You'll be witnesses to the ends of the earth. The strength to push. All I was thinking is my life is not progressing. My life is not progressing. What do I need to do? I need money. I need money. And so because of that, I fell into temptation ya kutafuta do. I signed a record deal, and for a year in 2019, I sang secular music. I got a lot of backlash. Trended in Twitter. I was like, people even know me. You're serious, you guys? Watch out. You actually know me. You actually what?
Only on Hope TV. Look and live.
With power, you will receive power.
A look at sports now. Lionel Messi scored twice and assisted once on his first start for Inter Miami in a 4-0 win over Atlanta United. The Argentina star scored twice inside the opening 22 minutes before setting up teammate Robert Taylor in the second half. His performance follows a match-winning stoppage time free kick on his debut last week. Messi, who is a 7-time Ballon d'Or winner, only trained with his teammates for the first time last week after moving to the Major League Soccer side following the end of his contract at Paris Saint-Germain. The basketball community and fans worldwide are sending their thoughts and well wishes to Bronny James and his family after the 18-year-old basketball prodigy, eldest son of NBA superstar LeBron James, suffered a cardiac arrest during a basketball practice. Bronny, who was set to join USC as the top freshman recruit to the NCAA this season, is now in stable condition after receiving medical attention. Specific details regarding what might have caused Bronny James's cardiac arrest have not been disclosed. The family's spokesperson released a statement confirming that he is out of the intensive care unit and in stable condition. Bronny's situation has sparked discussions on the need for improved screening and preventive measures to safeguard young athletes from such life-threatening events. And Joel Lewis, the British billionaire and owner of Tottenham Hotspur's soccer team, has been criminally charged in New York for orchestrating a brazen insider trading scheme. Prosecutors said Lewis exploited his access to corporate boardrooms by passing tips about companies in which he invested to friends, personal assistants, private pilots, and romantic partners, enabling them to reap millions of dollars of profit. How we wrap up Newswatch tonight. Thank you for your company all through the broadcast. My name is Melissa Oduor. Boniface Muredi has been helping us on the sign language tonight. Have a good night.